I did it.
All right. Yes, thank
Okay,
you,
go
everybody.
ahead.
We're
Yeah, go
recording
ahead.
today so we can share. We had several people register that aren't available at this 12 o'clock hour, and we said we'd send this link later, but happy Thursday. I'm Courtney Leach with Community Connections. We are really proud to help host these monthly webinars with the Arkansas Down Syndrome Association. And just if anyone is tuning in here and is not familiar with Community Connections, we offer free extracurricular activities for kids of all range of special needs, sports and arts and recreation, and then support for families. I'll put our website in the name box, but we are in the middle of spring programs. So if you have a child or a teen, and now we have a young adult social group that is interested in getting involved in community programs, we're in multiple cities around Arkansas now. I'll put our website in the box, and we're always available if you have questions. And we're really excited to partner with ADSA. So Deanne, if you want to share about that.
Sure. I'm Deanne Hunt, president of the Arkansas Down Syndrome Association, and this is excited to partner with Community and put these webinars on for everybody. ADSA, as we call it, has been around since 2004, and we're a 501c3 nonprofit. We support the Down syndrome community, and our mission is to empower people with Down syndrome and their families through education supports, promoting community-based education, evidence-based healthcare, and social opportunities across the lifespan. We are excited. I can't see who's not muted. We're excited today to have Miss Teresa Hendrix with us. She has a master's in special education and is a parent mentor for the Center for Exceptional Families. She's a newly retired special educator. She's spent 35 years in education, both as a special education teacher for 20 years and an administrator for 15. She has a passion for special education that began as a small child, visiting a Lions Club nursery school for the blind in Memphis, Tennessee. Having a close family member with a visual disability has allowed Teresa to see the unique challenges facing families and students with disabilities. And we're so excited to have you here today and share your knowledge with us. Welcome.
Well, thank you so much. I am just so honored to be here. Today, the topic I was asked to talk about was transitioning from early childhood to school aged for our kiddos with disabilities. And I know that's such a huge step, such a huge step. I remember when, actually, I'll tell my story very quickly because it's kind of an amusing story. My mother was already grown and engaged to my dad when my grandmother at age 45 had a surprise pregnancy. And besides it being a surprise, she had a set of triplets. You know, that older mom, sometimes that can happen. And she had a set of triplets, 2 that weighed 7 pounds and 1 that weighed 1 pound. Well, the 2 larger babies did not make it because their lungs were not developed. But the little 1 pounder made it. But back then in the 50s, she was in an incubator that they were using the pure oxygen, and as many people during that time frame caused blindness. So because my grandparents were older, as they became older and in poor health, she was my aunt, but spent much more time. So often I refer to her as my sister because we were raised more like sisters. So you can imagine when she transitioned from the Lions Club in Memphis to public school, because back then that was before 94-142, that was before the Individuals with Disability Education Act. And it was just by the graciousness of one particular elementary school in Memphis that they actually accepted her. And I know the fears that my grandparents and my parents had with transitioning her to school, because here all of our lives were built around protecting this child who was profoundly blind, who could not see. And to take our hands off of her to allow her to go to public school was a big deal. It was a hard thing for our family. When she was actually at the Lions Club nursery school, they let me go with her a lot because I was a preschool age, and they thought it would be good for some of the visually impaired kiddos to be with a non-disabled peer. So there was me. I was the non-disabled peer. So I feel like my whole life has been about special education. And so this particular topic is near and dear to me because of the obstacles that families can face going into that public school system. I know that sometimes when it comes that time and we have conferences, and I'll get in depth with that in a minute with a PowerPoint presentation, but I know that sometimes with parents, we have that fear of safety. We have the fear of what will academics look like for our kiddo. We think about everything, but as a teacher, I know sometimes school is so ordinary and everyday that sometimes we forget some of our compassion to new parents who are just entering the school system. So my years as a teacher and then as an administrator, I tried to remind my teachers of that, just to remember that these are often medically fragile babies. It's hard enough to let a typical enter school, but when you've spent your life protecting that child, it's even more difficult sometimes to let go. So we need to remember our compassion. And I hope that you as parents experience that right off the bat. I think that our early childhood facilities do a really, really good job comforting parents, and often the kiddos have been there since they were just a few months old. So there's just a really good relationship that's been built. And then you go to somebody new. And so those relationships have to be built again. So it's new, it's different. And sometimes new and different is hard and scary. But today, I hope I can share some insight with you into how you can be prepared for those meetings, those first transition meetings, so that you can be prepared to just knock it out of the park, to where you can have your child ready. You will be ready as possible for that to happen. So I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to start with a PowerPoint presentation that the director, Shelby Knight of the Center for Exceptional Families, and our tech person, Michelle is on with us today in case I need help. But all of us at TCEF, the Center for Exceptional Families, we are here as a support to parents, to families. Just a little tidbit of information: all states are required to have a parents training center, and most states have multiple. I think Florida has like 30. Well, Arkansas has one, and that is our group, the Center for Exceptional Family. As you can see, we call ourselves TCEF. And so Shelby Knight really started on this when her son Jeremiah was born with severe autism. And at that time, I just love Shelby's story. She went to the public library and there was one book on autism. So she had to self-educate. And she built this organization really from the ground up. There were a few more people involved on the front end and they faded away. And Shelby's just a rock star. And Shelby, of course, her experience with her son Jeremiah, and all of us involved have had family members who have disabilities. So I think it's a unique perspective to be able to have that family perspective and a school perspective. I feel very blessed to be able to have had both. So to move on, I want to just give those people credit for this presentation. So at the beginning, I'm hoping everybody can see, this is our TCEF presentation of transitioning our kiddos to kindergarten. And again, we are the Center for Exceptional Families. And this is our logo. Miss Shelby designed that herself. We do work under a partial grant from OSEP. So give everybody credit for us. Just a little information, because that is part of today, just to let you all know we're out here and how we can help you. We are the Center for Exceptional Families. Again, we're a statewide organization. I work the northeast corner of the state, but we have regional mentors who assist all across the state. So parents often will call my number, because Jonesboro's our hub. They'll call my number and I will disperse them to the appropriate person based on county. And then again, just you can read, I'm not going to read to you, just some more information. We provide a variety of services free of charge. Most of our work is individual support assistance, and I love that we're very hands-on with our parents and stakeholders. We have a lot of other organizations like ADSA who work with us. And what you can see, the very last line, we like to consider ourselves a bridge. We bridge the gap between family and schools. So that's what we do. So today, some tips for parents for entering school. Look at this precious baby. Don't you just love her? Cutie, cutie, cutie. Well, one of the very first things that you can do to help your child, disabled or non-disabled, is visit the school ahead of time. Walk around. We don't want the first time to go to school to be the first day of school. When I was an administrator in Jonesboro, we had a student arrive on the bus the first day of school to the kindergarten center, and the bus driver came in carrying her, and she was just crying, and none of us can console her. And we didn't have the parent did not have a phone. So the bus driver and I went back to the house to talk to the mom, and had to have an interpreter, another language involved. The child was profoundly deaf. So you can imagine how frightening her first day of school was, and had never been in that building before. So talk to your school. They will be more than happy to allow you a visit, to let you walk around and let you look at the rooms and the cafeteria and the playground. Start with the playground. That excites your kiddos. You know, everybody loves the playground. Show your kiddos your drop-off, pick-up points. Some districts you get to pick up around back. You may be at the side of the building, or your kiddo may be a bus rider. So let them see exactly where they're going to get off and where they're going to get picked up, so that is not new for them. Again, the cafeteria. Don't wait for that first day. Cafeterias, oh my word, do y'all remember the first day in a cafeteria? Only thing more traumatizing than as a child is a first-year teacher. You know, you go in and there's a million little kids running around needing help, and you're thinking there's no way I can open 26 milk cartons and get everybody taken care of in the 20 minutes we have for lunch. So let's look at the cafeteria. Let them see how you get a tray, how you walk around to your table. Just front load that information. Let them see the office, and let them know the office is not a bad place. The office is a good place. In fact, my SPED office, I always had kiddos coming to visit every morning. They wanted to see what I was wearing. They wanted me to see what they were wearing. So show them around, let them know that offices are good places. They're not, don't threaten and say, if you're bad, you're going to go to the office. Just like we hate for children to think of police officers in a bad light. Look for the helpers, and the helpers are often in the office at school. So look for the helpers. Definitely know about the restroom and explain what's going to happen in those places. For example, the playground, that may be where they go first thing in the morning. Or my daughter teaches second grade in a district nearby. And in the mornings, the kids all go to the gym and they have an opening. And just a very positive, it's part of their PBIS, their positive behavior support program. And so just explain to your little one, you will go here, but it's going to be a good time, a happy time. It's not a scary thing. So let them know what's going to happen. Routines are important for all of us. As a teacher, we always called them processes, procedures, processes that are important to our kiddos. We know at home they're important. I'm a routine kind of gal. I like to know what's going to happen, and so do our kiddos. Look at this picture. It's the bus line. Oh, the famous bus line. I grew up, like I said, in Memphis, Tennessee, but moved to Arkansas in junior high and had to ride a bus for the first time. Scared me to death, so let them know, let your kiddo know what the bus is. Bus drivers are precious. They will let your kiddo come before school starts because they're all there getting their bus routes ready. They'll let your kiddo look at the bus. They'll let them get on the bus. You just have to ask. Just ask. But let them know, there's a process for everything. You can't bust your way up through the bus line. You can't knock somebody down and hurt them. When you're on the bus, you need to be in your seat, because if the bus driver has to stop quickly, you're going to fly forward. So just all of those routines, so much stuff we take for granted because we've known it all of our lives. We forget that these are talking points with our kiddos. That famous routine a couple of weeks before school, getting to bed on time. That's so hard. We all have had summer, and it doesn't get dark until late, and we stay up late and we sleep late. And so start that routine if you're not in it for a couple of weeks. Get used to that bedtime. Again, if your child is riding a bus, walk them to the bus stop, point out landmarks, and explain the routine. My son-in-law is a police officer, and he is very adamant that all parents should talk to their children about just don't talk to strangers at the bus stop. Warn them if anybody comes up and says, your mom sent me for you. No, that's not right. If anybody gets too close to you, they're in your bubble. You scream, you yell, you do whatever you need to do. And also, I was saying I grew up in Memphis, and we walked to school. School was just right down the street from my house, but different neighbors had a sign in their window. And when you saw that sign, you knew that was a safe house and that you could go there, that your parents knew those parents, and that if you were afraid, if something was going wrong, you could run to that place. So just point out landmarks to them, point out safety features, visual schedules. Some of our kids are nonverbal or very shy. So visual schedules are awesome. How many of us as adults, we go to a conference and we scout it out. We think we know where we are, but then the next morning there's 500 people there, and there's new signs and new tables, and you're getting that program out. Where's my room? Where do I need to be? So visual schedules are amazing for all of us. Next is just probably the most important thing we can ever do for our children is to teach them their own personal information. Teach me about myself. And we from the beginning of childhood. We need to teach our kids that they are their own advocates. And of course, they don't understand those words, but we have to teach them, if something is too hard, you say something. If something doesn't feel right, you say something. So for parents, help me learn my name. Help me know my address. Help me know my phone number. Help me with your name or the name of someone that is a caregiver. Now, again, if our students are nonverbal, by all means, have something, have their little identification card, have it laminated, have it on their person, whether it's in their lanyard or in their backpack or in their pocket. That's one of the most important things that we can do. Support me at school. So important. I have told parents as a teacher, especially as a SPED teacher, that often parents would come to the SPED teacher when having problems with a gen ed teacher. And I would always tell those parents, because I was kind of the one that would be, the liaison in between. But I would always say, keep your conversation about your child's teacher positive, because our kids pick up very quickly on if we don't like someone, and then that relationship is broken. And it's broken quickly, and it may be very, very hard to reestablish that. So support me. Talk with my teacher regularly. How am I doing? It doesn't mean call them every single day, because they have a lot to do and they have a life too. But talk with my teacher. Let them know, how are things going. Attend parent meetings. I have always tried to stress this to parents and caregivers. Do not miss those meetings if at all possible. Every one of them. Because once your child, if they're in special education, you are one person on a committee. So a committee decision, once that child has been placed, once you've had consent for placement, you are one person on that committee. So you want to make sure that you are in on decision making, on decisions that are being made, particularly those IEP meetings. Volunteer to help out at school, even if it's, maybe in the mornings before you go to work. If you can just stand and hold the door for a few minutes for kids, make your face visible in that school. So those administrators and teachers know, hey, little Lauren's mom is going to be there. So be on your game, because she has high expectations, as she should. And also PTA, PTO, whatever parent group it is called, you may work and you can't be at those meetings, but you could send cookies, or you could write thank you notes post meeting, just saying, I'm sorry I wasn't able to attend, but thank you for your time that you are helping out with our kiddos. Routines, again, practicing our routines and what it's going to look like. I talked about with my with Faith, she was, profoundly blind. And so I grew up in a house where there was nothing left in the floor that she would trip on. If there were pots and pans on the stove, the handles were turned in. All the stairs had very close rails. Our home life was built for her safety. Schools are pretty safe places, but they may not be what your house looks like. But remind kids that there are other children who are going to want to play. But in this case, this little guy, they might need to walk a little slower with him. And so that goes back to just being able to share with your kids. And some other routines that we can help our kids with is following directions and giving our kids responsibilities, simple chores. Shelby's very big on that. And I think that's so important. I know Jeremiah, she just could do all kinds of things. And we did try to do that with my sister as well. Help me learn how to share with other children and to wait my turn. Because, sometimes when we have a student with a disability, sometimes they may have been catered to somewhat. Sometimes for safety reasons, maybe they go first. But at school, that may not always be the case. So we have to learn to share, and we have to learn to wait our turns. And you know what? Oh my goodness, is that not true for us now? Oh my goodness, my husband at the movie theater, we're movie buff people. And I'm telling you, he will just walk in, and if people are lingering, choosing a movie, if he knows, and he's a man with a plan, he is up there in front of everybody. So it's like, rein it back, bud. Let's remember to wait our turns and model how to ask for help in different ways. Modeling, very, very important. And teach me what to do if something or someone hurts my feelings. We all get our feelings hurt sometimes. And, even as adults, some days we handle it better than others. Let's remember that our kiddos need that information as well. Okay, so let's get back to that. That's kind of getting our kiddos ready. Let's get back to us as parents being ready for that childhood transition conference. What documentation should I bring with me for that meeting? Most kindergartners have registration day. Bring your binders. What if you don't have a binder? I'm so glad you asked. Well, at TCEF, we will help you make a binder. And all we ask is that you have a 3-ring binder, just buy at Walmart for 97 cents. And we will send you inserts to help you organize a binder that you can use and fill to take your child all the way through school. It's a way to organize yourself, so you're not like, oh my goodness, I think the IEP, I think I put it in the kitchen drawer. Oh no, wait, I took it to bed with me and I was reading it last night. If you have this binder with all your information, that's a great help. So we want to help you with that. So that's a little infomercial for TCEF. But some of the things that we encourage that you put in your binder: birth certificate, Social Security cards, shot records, physical. This can be like any type of doctor's reports, OT, PT reports. In our case, lots of information from hospitals for visual reports that the school will need to qualify your student. Proof of residency, you don't get past go in any district without that. And any other special documentation, dietary needs, other types of information, sensory processing disorders. If bells start going off, how is your child going to respond to that? Have any information about that with you? Okay. What if your child have the special needs and services? Most of the time at that conference, if your child had an early childhood plan because they were developmentally delayed as with a Down syndrome issue, or like my sister, visual impairment, if you already are receiving those preschool services at that meeting, it will be discussed, and your child may immediately qualify for an IEP. But to make sure, bring any records showing their special education services, therapies they receive and how often, mental or behavioral health services, other services, just there could be all kinds of other things that are important to you and to your child. And at that meeting, a representative from the school district your child attends will be present. When I was the director in a smaller district, I attended all the transition conferences, and usually I would have a speech therapist with me. And then as I moved to a larger district like Jonesboro's, like the 6th largest in the state, we'd have a team. We would have speech therapists. We would have a school psych examiner with us. The director, I would attend as many as possible. Had 1,100 kids, so couldn't always get to every one of them. But, you know, usually you may have 100 kids transitioning in. And so having the people at the table that need to be at the table, that's so important. And if your child is in an early childhood program, they will be there. The teacher will be there. The director may be there. In their support services, those related services, speech and OT and PT, they'll be there. The team, with you included, remember, you're a very important person on that team. You talk about what, if any, future evaluations may be needed to qualify in EC, early childhood, and to qualify school age. I'll give you an example for early childhood. There's a category of developmentally delayed. In school, that's called intellectually delayed. So we have different categories, and sometimes they require different, they have different criteria and eligibility determinations. So changes in services. We're not in Kansas anymore. We're not in that early childhood anymore where you're with a whole lot of little people and people that you may have known for quite a while. Some of the services that your child may have received previously may not be the same in kindergarten. You may begin with a lot of services, and you may decide your child may not need all of those services, or there may be services the school offers that early childhood did not. So you want to know what's there and what's available. Again, we've talked about new evaluations may be necessary, which would require your informed consent. And then to receive those related services, OT, PT, speech, you must show that there is a weakness that is adversely affecting academic and behavioral achievement. So have your documentation in your neat little binder with you. Team decisions, okay? Team decisions. You're part of a team. The information you share helps everybody. I share this. I had a student who came into our district, transferred in, had an IEP, began services in kindergarten because he had started kindergarten in another district. So he had a school-aged IEP. He transitioned to us very early in kindergarten, like maybe mid-September, if that, maybe even earlier. And he just, like, he had been identified with a specific learning disability, which is, you know, questionable at that early age. But that was his official primary handicapping condition for his criteria for receiving services. But he really presented as a student with a brain injury. And teacher talked to me, I pulled records, went back through the social medical history. Nothing was there. I called mom and had her stop by one morning, and I was just telling her just all the different things that made us think that he could have a TBI. And I said, you know, did he ever have an accident like on a four-wheeler or bicycle or a car accident that maybe you thought he was okay, but maybe a mild concussion? And then the mom, a good mom, but the mom is just like, yeah, he did. He did have an injury, and he was in Arkansas Children's for quite a while. But he was very, very young, and he seemed to rebound, and she thought he was okay, but truly he did have a TBI. So provide that information as best you can, because it affects services that your child will get, and you want them to get everything they can. Sometimes we don't see a lot of progress, or we see significant progress, and so we want less services. So that's just something to discuss. Now, to talk about guidelines for transitioning, we have those early meetings, those transition meetings, just to ensure that it's going to be orderly, that everything will be into place that first day, so we don't have that little incident when I told you about the child that I had that was profoundly deaf and just absolutely hysterical and traumatized. Again, transfer of records are important. Our child's information is important. Timelines for activities, and that will be given to you as your parents' rights. Parent awareness of programs and special services available, and the involvement of your decision making. And again, you will either get a printed copy of your rights, or where you can a link where you can download your own. Timelines in the world of the Individuals with Disability Education Act, everything is done on the timeline. Should the team decide that further testing is needed, the school district will complete those evaluations. They will contact you with results, hopefully before school begins. All that'll be in place. When the evaluation meeting is held, the team will decide the most appropriate supports for your child. And if we need more data, we think, okay, things worked really well in that smaller early childhood facility, but now you're going to be in a huge school. Do we need to collect some other data and think about things that we may be needing? Okay, thank you. That was fast. Questions? Does anybody have any questions for me? Unmute yourself. Okay, I have one other little treat for you. I'm going to go back down here to my screen sharing. I have an absolutely precious little, if I can get it up, it's a precious video. Let me go back. I'm going to do a new share. And if I don't come up with it, it's from YouTube. I will send you the link later, but it's called The Hiring Chain. It's on YouTube. The Hiring Chain by Sting, S-T-I-N-G, the singer Sting. And it is just amazing. And let me see if, okay, I think I'm going to get it for you. I think, hang on one second. Okay, let me find it. Let me see. Thank you for your patience. Let me hang on for just a second.
While you're at it, if you can multitask, this would be a question that I just randomly have, Teresa, and that is because the Center for Exceptional Families does so much, what would you say are like your 3 or 4 top calls or concerns? Like, what are you guys most often called about regarding? I know that I have a 14-year-old son with special needs, so he's a little bit older, and I know a few of the folks on here have children that are already school aged, and I know you serve all the way up to 26, and maybe even specifically on the transition side. Just what are some of like the more common services that you think, the Centers for Exceptional Families provides?
I will be honest, most of them are regarding behavioral issues at school. Parents feeling like their children, perhaps the expectation is different, or that perhaps behavior has not been addressed on the IEP, and often it has not been. And so I think most of my calls deal with helping parents meet with school officials to discuss behavior plans to develop and help make sure those are being implemented. And we've been doing a lot of work with RTI, the response to intervention in school systems. And I'm finding a lot of parents aren't aware of what RTI is. And I'm rolling out some with the state improvement grant, rolling out some presentations on what response to intervention is. And that's when, the schools are mandated to provide interventions for all kids, as far as what do we need to do to help them be successful. And often students, sometimes behavior really gets in the way. And if we don't have a behavior plan to try to improve behavior, then we can't expect to do any better. So
I didn't realize we needed to ask for it sometimes. And I also thought it was possibly a bad thing for us to have in elementary school. I didn't understand it at first, and now I won't be without one.
Right. And because for so long, the connotation with behavior plan was a negative behavior plan, not a positive. And right. I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you, Deanne. A PBI is a positive behavioral intervention support plan. So that's what we want. Help identify strengths so that, and let the teachers and the principals know what those strengths are so that we can address those and use those to improve behavior.
Well, and if they try to punish and they're not using the plan, then it's a saving grace, really, because I had to come back in middle school, especially, and say, well, we're not using the behavior plan that's written. And I think this is, why this behavior is getting out of control.
Exactly. I could not agree more. Okay. That's great. Anything?
I have another question.
Sure.
So if you're coming from a preschool, we came from a private school when we went into public school, and I had to write the letter, the public school, to assess him in the 60 days or 30 days?
Okay, let me tell you the caveat to that. Testing is to be done within 60 days, and then 30 days, the conference is to be held in 30 days. So that's a 90-day timeline. But there's a caveat to that. If that testing is done in 15 days, then the 30 days follow the 15. So it's not a full 90 days. The school can have up to 90, but we don't want to waste time if we don't have to.
And I don't remember if they're coming from a developmental preschool, is that already kind of set up for them, that the developmental preschool has done the testing?
Yes, and okay. That's when normally public school in Arkansas, we hold those early childhood transition conferences March and April, because school age can't start annual reviews until after April 1. But we try to get those ECs done early on. So if we need to do additional testing, that can be done. But our EC centers are fabulous. They come to the table prepared. They have their service plans, the early childhood, what in school age is an IEP, but their plan with their category, with their disabilities all worked out, and present information, a lot of them that are very friendly are aware of the testing that we are going to need, and they may already have that done for us. And that way they can hand us the folder and walk us down the hall and introduce us to the little kiddo, and we can be ready to go. Good question. Anybody else? Oh, it's 12:48. I'm long-winded. I'm sorry. I know I talk a lot.
That was great information. And I was so glad that you included every year when Al was changing grades in public school, we went in and met the teacher ahead of time so he could, get to know her, see where the classroom was, and go over anything that was going to be changing. So it wasn't overwhelming the first day, and he already knew what to expect.
Yeah, that's important for all of us about anything. Just to know, I probably logged on 4 or 5 times this morning, just making sure my Zoom was working right and the cameras were working and the lights were okay, and fed the dogs. So
well, and
barking.
if the parent wants any time really to speak with the teacher, it shouldn't be the first day of school. She'll, he or she will be so busy with all the children. So yeah.
Good advice. Very good advice. Hey, anybody else?
Somebody has asked a question. Let's see. Can stubborn be a positive thing?
Can stubborn be a positive thing? Of course it can. I'm Irish, and so my mom was a McCoy from the real McCoys. So my husband testifies to it. Being stubborn, I think a better word is strong-willed. Your child being strong-willed or you being strong-willed, but you don't want it to be in an adversarial attitude. I think better than stubborn, maybe persistent is a better word. You're persistent in wanting what is best for your child. Your child is persistent in being their own advocate. Listen, little people can be pretty strong advocates. I have a 5-year-old grandson, and let me tell you, he's an advocate. He will let you know really very quickly what his needs are. Wants and needs, hunting frogs, I've discussed, is not always a need, that's a want, but persistence can be a good thing. But I always have taught my children, honey, something sweet draws better attention than something sour. And another thing that I always tell parents is this as well. These people at the school, those people, you're going to be working with them for a long time. I love this about Shelby. And this is funny because when I was a director, Shelby and I knew each other. And she has told parents, and we tell parents, when you walk in, you just be complimentary. If you can't find anything nice to say, you say, I like your sweater. And so she came in when I was director at Jonesboro one day. She came in with a parent that was not happy. And the parent was sitting angry, and Shelby's elbowing, going, don't you like her sweater today? And I almost fell over because I knew exactly where she was going with that. And I'm like, thank you, but it was like, but I was heartbroken that they felt they had to go that route, because I always wanted to do whatever I could do for students. And one of the things that I really want parents to be aware of, the first person you're going to see at school besides the teacher is the principal. Principals have not had a lot of special ed training. Ask for your special ed director if you feel you are not being heard, because they know the law and they are in special ed because they have heart for it. Believe me, it's hard work. So ask for they can be called the special ed director, they can be called the LEA, but ask for that person.
Teresa, the other question I had, you were talking about the 3-ring binder for AP and that you sent the inserts. I hopped on the website, but I couldn't find where you request that.
You
Do you
just
know where
call
that is?
me. Just call
Oh,
me.
okay.
Call the number. I can give you my number. It's 870-897-4254. I can put it in the chat, I think, or not.
And y'all have some great resources, and I wanted to share with everyone as well that Arkansas Down Syndrome Association, on our website, we have a lot of resources, not only for Down syndrome families, but for families of all disabilities, just general good resources, statewide, nationally, for education. So if you're needing some help or looking for something, hop on our website and be able to help you.
Yeah, good. That's very, very good information to have. Okay, I'm not going to be able to show you my video. I was having trouble with it this morning and I thought I had it worked out. But again, I'm going to put it in the chat so that you can look, and it's called The Hiring Chain by Sting, and that is on YouTube. I don't know what I did before I had YouTube. I don't know about y'all, but it's a constant in my life every day. So,
well, and we should share that the video from today, the recording, will be on our YouTube channel and the website. And I think the same for Courtney and Community Connections.
awesome.
So, yeah.
Well, thank you all for the opportunity. I love to share my story. I think we all have a calling, and I think I got mine early in life, and I loved every minute. Had sad minutes, but when I left after 35 years, I felt like I'd done what I was supposed to do with my life. So let's all find our calling and help our little ones find their calling.
Well, we appreciate you being here today. We're thankful for you and your information and all you've done for all the children that you've interacted with over the years. So
Thank you.
that's awesome. Courtney, did you have anything you wanted to wrap up with?
No, but thank you all. And thanks to everyone who tuned in today.
Yes.
Teresa's phone number is in the chat box, and the Arkansas Down Syndrome Association and Community Connections websites are as well. One new message. So if there's anything we can ever do, please reach out. But otherwise, have a great afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Down to 2. She was great.
Down to 2. She was really good. I loved how she started from the outside and moved in the building and meeting everybody. That is so important.
Yeah. And down to earth. I mean, I think that actually it helps encourage those parents that maybe are having a hard time. I mean, really, maybe it would be a good reminder to all of us when we are really struggling with the schools, or you really do have a bad teacher, to be like, these people went into this profession because they cared and they weren't jaded at one point, they have
Right. Well, I was one of those parents that took food every time we had a meeting, even if it was going to be contentious. So
You're a wise woman. Okay. What did Amy say?
Okay. So Amy, we were looking at October, and she said, since they're having the other one on the first part of October, we were looking at the 22nd is a bye week for the Razorbacks and UCA. So, she was thinking that it wouldn't affect what we were doing, that it's a bye week. The people that would come would probably be, those with littles or whatever but so I told her I would talk to everybody and get back to her. I don't know what you guys have going on or what your thoughts are.
Did you see my email where I that was one of the dates I threw out? Did you gather, is she wanting and expecting Bears for Care?
Yes, they're gonna have some of their own, but they would like Bears for Care, to also send people to help. And so I told her, we'd have to check with our people and then see if the Bears for Care, and that might be, I guess, the only hookup or hiccup is if they're off that weekend or whatever.
Well, and yes, and I mean, I think actually pushing it to October, we might have a greater chance. I can reach out and ask, but the way Bears for Care specifically works is it's a partnership with the education department and the occupational therapy department and the service learning community, but they've done that, like, granted, this has been pre-COVID, they haven't been back at it since post-COVID, but OT would take one semester, education would take the other, but especially on the education side, we might have more leeway on the OT side. They used it as one of their like 3-hour class, maybe like education in the community, but they came up with kind of a lesson plan and activities and themed it with like around the world. So they had to work on it at least for a few weeks through the semester, and then came and did the event. They did Little Rock one time, so I don't think that Little Rock is totally exclusive, but I do think we had to go through Warren Reednauer and the attorney at UCA for liability for it to be a school sanctioned function off campus and outside of the city limits. But I wanted to see if she was thinking that was for sure. So I don't mind to reach out to ask them and just say, hey, we're going to be doing a transition workshop. This is the date we're looking at. I will tell you, I found out yesterday, I still don't think it's a deal breaker by any means, but yesterday they announced that the Greek Food Festival is October 21st and 22nd in Little Rock, and Community Connections is one of the charities that get, as is Easter Seals, and so I don't think it's going to necessarily affect our conference goers, but we'll have to work around. It'll divide our group, because we'll probably have to be there. They're doing it drive-through style. Have you ever been to the Greek Food Festival?
Yeah, it's been a while since I've been, but we've been,
The last couple years, they haven't done the full festival with the dancers and things. They've just done a order online drive-through situation, and Community Connections is in charge of the drive-through. So we were kind of all hands on deck. So, but I do think the 22nd is a good viable date.
We didn't look at the 29th because I can't remember what other date you had. Since it's so Halloween weekend on the 29th, I don't know if that would make a difference or not.
I don't really know if it would or wouldn't, but if we could avoid it.
Oh, okay. You'd rather not do the 29th?
No, it doesn't matter. I mean, I think 22nd might be the preference, but either of those dates. I like Fellowship as a venue, so I feel like I'd like to be able to work with them. And again, I can't be presumptuous, but I feel like even if Bears for Care could not do the children's activities, we did respite care with Fellowship for a long time, and the issue we ran into is they almost had enough helpers of the folks that she recruited, and then we had recruiters. So we had like 3 volunteers on one child when we did our Saturday morning respite care there. And so I don't know if Bears for Care cannot do it. Maybe she would allow some really qualified OT students or.
Well, and do you want me to reach out? Brittany Savers is still on our board and is still working.
She would be great. She's very familiar with the Bears for Care. It doesn't matter. Leslie Graybill, she is in the service learning department. She and Brittany, and then it was, let me even pull up my Bears for Care.
Was Alicia on there?
Alicia.
What is her last name? CH? Alicia Brown, maybe.
Yes, she was our education contact.
Yeah.
And she's lovely. And so maybe, we could probably rope Brittany in on an email with them. But I could pitch that out there. So did she say the 22nd was good, or she was going to check?
She thought the 22nd would be good.
From like 9 to noon?
And we didn't talk about specific time, but we're talking about morning.
Yeah. Okay. And again, it's so interesting. I don't know, with it being transition focus, I don't think we're going to be talking about tons and tons of kids unless, and remember I don't know, we did this before where we allowed it to be a transition fair and a respite care day. I mean, if Bears for Care is involved and they have 30 students, we probably could
Combine them.
open it up and it could be for families and serve dual purposes. But if it's just for our transition fair, I don't think it'd be, I mean, who knows? I'm thinking 10 families that would have itty bitties or younger kids, except for I like the idea of a teen young adult room. Like if Alex Leach or Al came, to be able to.
Right.
And we did that. Bears for Care has done that before, but yeah,
Which
I can
Al
send,
might enjoy going, I guess.
yeah. I will copy you and Brittany
Okay.
on the email with Alicia and Leslie and might pull in Lynn Holloway. She's in the OT department now too. She wasn't specifically working with Bears for Care initial, but all my resources
Okay.
to see if that would be a possibility. But did you
Okay.
say, when you said a bye week for UCA, just not UCA football, or are they on like a fall break?
No, it says, well, I mean, I just looked at the football schedule.
Oh yeah.
About them.
Yeah.
And both universities have a bye week for the schedule.
I'm wondering if there's a fall break. I'm just gonna look that up real quick.
Yeah,
Oh,
I don't
I did.
remember ever getting one except when James was in medical school.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, why didn't we get these in college? This is great.
Fall October 20th through the 23rd is their spring break.
Okay.
UCA. 29th is homecoming week. October for UCA. Neither of those feel very good.
Yeah.
But we can ask. I don't think they're going to want to break up fall break. Kids get out of school that October 20th or
Yeah.
Thursday the 20th. They're out the Thursday the 20th, Friday the 21st.
Right. And then the 29th is their homecoming.
Which if it's in the morning, I mean, there's actually activities all day long, but we could throw it out there. October 22nd. Did she say September is just off the board?
It basically is. Yeah.
Okay.
Because they start all their new ministry stuff in September.
I want to be able to do it at fellowship. I just wonder if we could do it with a group outside of Bears for Care. If they can't do it.
Who would it be?
Community volunteers. I mean, community connections volunteers.
I don't know if she'll let that happen, because she seemed to like that the Bears for Care were already trained and up to speed on things. So they wouldn't have to train them.
We can ask for the 22nd. And listen, we could always offer the conference and not offer children's activities. I mean, childcare, that's not ideal, but if it's transition focus and, or maybe if not Bears for Care, if UCA is off the table, maybe Hallie and Brittany, they're both occupational therapists, maybe they could do a teen young adult room for the transition, but they're not necessarily be childcare.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of a backup plan. I don't know.
We do that, we can always go back to our September, I think, because it's childcare that was the issue in September. So.
And still do it at fellowship or do it somewhere else?
No, still do it at fellowship without childcare in September.
Okay. Let's see what Bears for Care says. And if they are not available on the 22nd and the 29th, just do not work, but they're interested in doing it, we could look at a different venue on a date that works with them, or stick with fellowship because we like fellowship and just not offer
childcare,
children's ministry. Yeah. Okay. Got it. Have you and Brittany or Jessica talked anymore? I'm sorry I took so long. I really unplugged on spring break and I'm still paying for it. Like, I'm not going to do that again. Like, I've got covered up, but As far as, I mean, I know we were going to start with the date before we even reach out to who are partners or what we're doing. Was there any resolution or further planning there?
I think everybody was just waiting to see when and where we were gonna have it.
Okay. I didn't talk to Brittany about it, but I talked to Jessica, and she had said that Brittany had talked to Special Olympics, and I don't know why, with them not being specifically transition focused, but they evidently were very interested in transition. I mean, I don't know if that's selfishly motivated because they just want to get a bunch of new young athletes, but they do have a wide distribution list and a wide reach. So if they want to promote it in their newsletter, like the ones I'm getting right now about all their fundraisers, you know,
Mhm.
maybe we'll have more attendees. I don't know, but it was interesting because I thought that was such a valid point on why is Special Olympics on there. And I think Brittany had just had a side. I think that the miscommunication happened is I wasn't in on the very first communications about the workshop. Jessica and Brittany were talking, and Brittany, because it's been her field work and it's her passion and it's the folks she's working with and it's the questions she's getting at Access, have all been about transition. And she was like, I would like to connect the dots and I would like to bring in all entities that serve transition age and young adults and do a resource fair and help make it easy for families. Would community connections want to help with this? And Jessica's like, I think, yes, that would be within the realm of what we want to do. Let's bring in Courtney. Oh, and it was the advocacy, self-advocacy with Allie
Tomlinson.
Yes. And so Brittany and Allie, they had a conversation. So when they were like, can we do this with community connections? It's like, yes, and we should bring in Deanne too, because we've already done workshops. So I think that they had this vision of this multi-provider resource fair and had an idea. And when I brought us in, we were thinking more like the great, wonderful workshop we did a couple years ago. And I get that they're two different things, but I think I'm the reason it went crosswired. I was just like, well, we have to bring Deanne in, you know, like, and they were already thinking to bring in a lot of entities. And to be frank and completely honest, I don't really have enough time on my calendar and my to-do list to take much ownership in doing it. Like, so, but if Brittany is gung-ho and wants to reach out to all these groups and work and see and do, like, I'd like to bless we all have the same goal of equipping families and letting them know, but I felt like that was stressful and I didn't want anybody's feelings hurt. But I think that's where it went, was they were marching forward with this big resource fair idea. And I said, well, let's do a Zoom call. And so when there were other people at the table, I don't know, I think that was my debacle, but I do want to make sure we're all on the same page as we move forward, because things don't happen without planning.
I was just afraid that it was going to overwhelm, because you can hear about different entities, but not really understand how they can serve you if you only get the surface. And if you don't make all the rounds to the tables and you think they don't have anything to offer you, but maybe they actually do. You know, I like to visit everybody. And if I don't have time to do it, you know, it's not stressful, but I feel like I've missed out. And that's what I was worried about. If it was so big and it was only 3 hours long, and if you had questions and then speak, and is this really going to de-stress the parents, or is it going to just add to their anxiety that, oh my God, there's so much do I need? I mean, I don't know. It could go.
Yeah, I mean, you're coming from a parent perspective. I do think I think it'll be very helpful on the front end or the back end in whatever this ends up looking like. Even if like a conference couldn't happen, but we compiled all the data, having an email that went to anyone and everyone who registered or attended that had the main contact info, the email and the phone number, and the exact bullet points of like the things they provide, like a synopsis, a short version, versus like, I don't have enough time to pull out 2 days and look at 23 places, websites, and sift through and filter through applications and restrictions. So if all of that was in one email, or kind of like your resource portal page, but in one place with a little brief update, that is a service to me as a parent that I don't have right now. But let's see if we can find a date.
Okay.
and a location, and if children's activities are available, and then maybe do another Zoom, because I don't think anything beats face-to-face to kind of see. And I haven't talked to her, but maybe just be like, so Brittany, now what are you thinking? And then I think we can express our concerns. And I think that's valid. Like, how do we do this without overwhelming the families?
Mhm.
I talked to her on the phone. I mean, it was a couple weeks ago, and she 100% agreed. Like, I was like, yes, if we're doing, because the way that email read with her ideas, we don't want to do an all call for videos and then choose 3 out of 20. And she's like, oh, that makes perfect sense. But I give her credit. She took like an idea and put it all on paper or something to do.
Definitely.
So she's
learning though.
understood that.
She's learning. This is her first one. So, but she's so into it. I love it. Her heart is in the right place.
Yeah. To have the energy and no children and things to worry about is a beautiful gift. I'm like, I used to be like that.
I did too. I can hardly remember when that was, but
I used to have a lot of zeal. Anyway. Okay. Well, then you can be looking for the email that I send asking about Bears for Care. And if you need anything, call or reach
I was
out.
going to ask if you knew about the upcoming meeting Julie Mayberry is going to have on the 18th of April. I'm going to try and find the information and send it out to you. She's already had one. I heard her mention it at Pi Day when she spoke. But she had some families come and speak about the waiver list and about the needs they have. And she wants to do another follow-up. She wants to talk about how to get training for our DSPs that, you know, are our waiver people, and kind of work on that system a little bit. So that's, I mean, I'm not sure exactly what her agenda is, but I'm going to look.
Well, if it's more funding to fund waiver, and probably, I mean, it is a systemic issue. We're not there yet, and we're not in the exact classification that's needing it. But in talking to like Michelle McClanahan and others, there are not enough individuals in the portal of folks to even take these waiver worker positions. I'm wondering if she's wanting to broaden the pipeline and incentivize and train individuals.
She even mentioned starting in high school training people.
I think that's brilliant.
Yeah, I do too. I know that the pay they get for the job they do, you know, do you want to make $15 an hour and take care of somebody, or go to Target and check people out? You know,
yeah,
you've got to have a heart for it. You've got to have a passion for it, or try to increase the wage that they earn to make that, you know,
or more creative incentivizations like student loan payback.
Right,
and
exactly.
Things of the sort. Okay. Well, yeah, please send that to me.
I'll look for that this afternoon.
Okay.
So, okay. Well, good to see you.
Always good to see you. I'll talk to you real soon.
Okay. Take care.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.